Have you noticed how quickly it rises? That flash of heat when the driver ahead slows for no reason. The tightness in your jaw when your daughter cancels lunch again. The sharp words forming before you even realize you're upset. Anger doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It arrives like an uninvited guest who somehow always finds the door unlocked. And here's what makes it particularly difficult after 60. You thought you'd be past this by now. You imagined that wisdom would arrive with age like a gentle tide, smoothing away the rough edges of irritability and frustration. Instead, some days the anger feels sharper than ever. The world moves too fast, people don't listen, nothing works the way it should. Small inconveniences that once rolled off your back now lodge themselves like splinters under the skin. But what if I told you that Buddhism discovered something about anger over 2,500 years ago that most people still don't understand? Not a way to suppress it or pretend it isn't there, but a genuine path to freedom from its grip. The Buddha didn't teach his followers to be weak or passive. He taught them to be liberated. And that liberation, that secret, if you will, is what we'll explore together today. Because the truth is this: anger isn't the enemy. The real problem is what we don't understand about it. The fire that burns its own house. There's an old Buddhist teaching that compares anger to holding a hot coal. You pick it up with the intention of throwing it at someone else, but while you're holding it, deciding when to throw it, the coal burns your own hand. The person you're angry at may never even know, but you're the one feeling the heat. The Buddha was remarkably clear about this. In one of his teachings, he said that a single moment of anger can destroy years of kindness and generosity. Picture it: a lifetime of patience, of showing up for others, of building trust, all undone by one explosive outburst. Not because the other person won't forgive you, though that's possible, but because anger rewires something inside you. It makes the next flash of rage easier to access, quicker to ignite. An 8th century Buddhist scholar named Antidote put it even more starkly: there is no evil like hatred, and no fortitude like patience. He understood that anger doesn't just damage our relationships, it demolishes our inner peace. When the thorn of anger lodges in your heart, he wrote, your mind finds no rest, no joy, no sleep. You become unstable, unsettled in your own skin. I once knew a man named Walter, 73, who lived alone after his wife passed. He was a retired postal worker, methodical and proud. But in his later years, something shifted. Small things began to set him off. The neighbor's dog barking, a package delivered late, a cashier moving too slowly at the grocery store. One day, he snapped at a young clerk who'd made an honest mistake with his change. The words came out harsh, cutting. The young woman's face crumpled, and Walter felt it immediately, that sickening drop in his chest. But what haunted him wasn't just the shame of that moment. It was the realization that he'd become someone he didn't recognize. A man who carried irritation like a low-grade fever, always simmering, always ready to boil over. He told me later, with tears in his eyes, I worked my whole life to be decent, and now I'm turning into the kind of person I used to avoid. That's what anger does when we don't understand it. It doesn't stay contained to the moment of provocation. It seeps into everything: your sleep, your appetite, your ability to enjoy the small pleasures that make life sweet. The Buddha saw this clearly. Anger is suffering, but not just for others, primarily, devastatingly for ourselves.
Why anger finds us more easily now? Here's something rarely spoken about. Anger in later life often has different roots than the anger of youth. When you're 25 and someone cuts you off in traffic, you're angry at the rudeness, the injustice of it. But at 70, The anger carries weight from deeper places. Let me show you what I mean with situations you've probably lived through. You're in the common room of your apartment building trying to watch your favorite evening program. The volume is set where you can hear it clearly. Then your neighbor walks in, grabs the remote without asking, and turns it to a football game with the volume blasting so loud it hurts your ears. Your blood pressure spikes. Your jaw clenches. Suddenly, you're not just annoyed about the TV. You're furious about being disrespected, dismissed, treated like you don't matter in a space that's supposed to be yours too. Or picture this. You're at the hospital for a routine appointment. You've been waiting 45 minutes past your scheduled time. You're in pain. You're tired. Finally, you approach the desk to ask how much longer, and before you can finish your sentence, a woman cuts in front of you, just walks right up like you're invisible. The receptionist starts helping her immediately, and something inside you ignites. It's not really about the line. It's about feeling erased, about spending your whole life being patient and polite. And where has it gotten you? Standing here, invisible, while someone younger and pushier gets what they want. Or maybe it's closer to home. Your adult son comes over for Sunday dinner with his family. You've cooked for hours. Your granddaughter, who's 12 now and always on her phone, barely looks up when you greet her. Your son doesn't notice. He's distracted, checking his messages, making plans to leave early. You feel the heat rising in your chest. They don't appreciate what you do. They don't see you anymore. And before you can stop yourself, you snap. If you're so busy, why did you even bother coming? The words are sharp, cutting. Your son's face closes off. They leave within 10 minutes, and you're left alone with the uneaten food and the sickening feeling that you just pushed them further away. These aren't hypothetical scenarios. This is the texture of daily life after 60, and the anger that rises in these moments. Buddhism teaches that it comes from causes and conditions, not from nowhere. There's the loss of control. Your body doesn't move the way it once did. Your children make choices you wouldn't make. The world operates at a pace you can't match. There's the accumulation of unresolved grief. Every loss you've endured, every goodbye you've said, leaves a mark. And sometimes that grief disguises itself as irritability, impatience, rage. There's also something Buddhist psychology calls the pain beneath the anger. When someone snaps at a loved one, what they're often feeling underneath isn't really anger at all. It's fear. Fear of becoming a burden. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of losing relevance in a world that seems to value only what is new and shiny. The anger is easier to feel than the fear, so it rises to the surface like oil on water. Research from mindfulness studies shows that older adults who report frequent anger often have higher levels of loneliness and social isolation. The anger becomes a kind of protest, a way of saying, "I'm still here, I still matter." But paradoxically, the anger pushes people further away, creating the very isolation it's trying to fight against. The Buddha understood this pattern. He spoke of the 12 links of dependent origination, the chain of causes that keep us trapped in suffering. Ignorance leads to craving, craving leads to clinging, craving leads to clinging, and anger sits right in the middle of this chain, feeding on our attachments and our aversions. What we desperately want but can't have. What we desperately don't want but can't avoid. But here's where the secret begins to reveal itself. If anger arises from causes and conditions, then we can work with those causes. We can change the conditions, not by force, not by willpower alone, but by understanding. The practice of seeing clearly. When anger rises, our instinct is to act immediately, to say the sharp thing, to slam the door, to let the other person know exactly how we feel. Buddhism asks us to do something radically different: pause and see. This is what the Buddha called mindfulness. Not the trendy version you hear about in apps and magazines, but the original practice. Mindfulness means being aware of what is happening as it happens, without adding our usual commentary, without immediately reacting. It's witnessing the anger without becoming it. Let me be clear, this is not suppression. The Buddha never taught that we should bottle up our emotions and pretend they don't exist. That's a recipe for explosion later. Instead, he taught observation. When anger arises, you notice it. Ah, this is anger. I feel heat in my chest. My jaw is tight. Thoughts of what I want to say are racing through my mind. You're not judging yourself for feeling this way. You're simply seeing it clearly. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist teacher, described it beautifully. He said that when anger arises, we should treat it like a crying baby. We don't ignore the baby. We don't scold it for crying. We pick it up gently and hold it with care. I see you, anger. I know you're here. That simple act of recognition begins to change everything. A woman named Ruth, 68, attended a mindfulness workshop I led several years ago. She was struggling with anger toward her adult son, who'd made financial decisions she thought were reckless. Every conversation became an argument. Every visit ended with her fuming for days. I suggested she try this practice. The next time she felt anger rising during their phone calls, simply notice it before speaking. Notice the tightness, the heat, the words forming. Just notice. She tried it. The first time she still said the angry words, but she felt them forming first. The second time she noticed the anger and took one breath before responding. The third time she noticed the anger, took a breath, and realized underneath it was fear. Fear that her son would struggle. Fear that she'd failed him somehow as a mother. Once she saw the fear, her words softened. The conversation didn't become perfect, but it became real. This is the power of mindfulness. It creates a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lives freedom. Studies on mindfulness and anger management have found something remarkable. People who practice even brief daily mindfulness meditation, just 5 to 10 minutes, show decreased anger rumination within weeks. They still feel angry when provoked, but they're less likely to replay the anger over and over, feeding it with stories about how wrong the other person was, how unfair the situation is. The anger arises, is seen and passes, like a cloud moving across the sky. The research is particularly encouraging for older adults. A study published in scientific journals found that mindfulness practice in seniors reduced not just anger, but also the physical stress responses that accompany it. Blood pressure stabilized, sleep improved. The participants reported feeling more in control of their emotional lives, less at the mercy of every provocation. What makes this especially relevant after 60 is that you have a lifetime of experience to draw on. You've already learned many things the hard way. You know what happens when anger takes the wheel. You've seen relationships damaged, opportunities lost, peaceful moments shattered. This knowledge isn't a burden, it's wisdom. And when combined with mindfulness practice, it becomes a powerful ally. The Buddha taught his students to meditate on their breath as an anchor, not to get rid of thoughts and feelings, but to have a place to return to when those thoughts and feelings threaten to sweep us away. When anger comes, you feel the breath, in, out. The anger doesn't disappear, but you're no longer drowning in it. You're watching it from the shore. Think of it this way: your breath has been with you from your first moment to this one. It's more reliable than any person, any possession, any circumstance. When everything else is chaotic, when emotions rage and thoughts spin, the breath remains steady. Returning to it is like coming home to yourself. It's a gesture of self-compassion that says, I don't need to be swept away by this storm. I can find refuge right here, in this body, in this breath. The Wisdom of Impermanence. Here's one of Buddhism's deepest insights about anger, and one that people over 60 are uniquely positioned to understand. Everything changes. Everything. The Buddha called this anicca, impermanence. It's not a sad truth, it's a liberating one. When anger grips you, it feels permanent. It feels like it will last forever, like this burning frustration will never end. But have you noticed? It doesn't. Even the hottest rage eventually cools. The tightest knot in your stomach eventually loosens. Emotions, the Buddha taught, are like weather patterns. They arise, they peak, they pass away, always. Research in neuroscience has confirmed what the Buddha knew: the physiological component of an emotion, the actual chemical rush in your body, lasts about 90 seconds, less than 2 minutes. What makes anger last longer is our mind's participation in it. The stories we tell ourselves, the rehearsing of what we'll say next time, the replaying of what was said to us. Those mental habits can keep anger alive for hours, days, even years. But the actual surge, 90 seconds. This understanding changes everything. When anger arises, you can say to yourself, this is impermanent, this will pass. I don't need to act on it right now. I can wait. And in that waiting, something shifts. The urgency drains away. You begin to see options you couldn't see when you were caught in the heat. There's a traditional Buddhist practice called noting. When an emotion arises, you simply name it. Anger. Anger. Not as a judgment, but as recognition. Then you might add, this is impermanent. This is changing. Say it quietly to yourself. Let the words become a gentle reminder that what feels overwhelming right now won't feel this way in a few minutes. I met an elderly monk once in Northern California, a man in his 80s who'd been practicing for 6 decades. I asked him if he still got angry. He smiled. Of course. But now when anger comes, I greet it like an old acquaintance. Oh, hello, anger. You're visiting again. That's fine, you can sit over there. I'll keep making tea. He understood that anger would come and go. It didn't need to be the center of his attention. It was just one more thing arising and passing in the vast space of his awareness. This is what anicca offers us, the knowledge that we don't have to fight the anger or make it wrong. We just have to stop clinging to it, stop feeding it, stop believing it's the whole truth of this moment. But let me be direct with you for a moment. Let me tell you something that might shake you awake. A single moment of anger can destroy what you spent your entire life building. Not gradually, not over time. In one explosive instant, one cruel sentence to your spouse of 40 years, one dismissive word to your daughter who's already pulling away, one rage-filled outburst at the caregiver who's trying to help you. Years of love, patience and kindness can be shattered by 60 seconds of uncontrolled fury. I've seen it. A grandfather who screamed at his grandson during a visit and never got another chance to apologize before the boy's family moved across the country. A woman who snapped at her sister over something trivial and didn't speak to her for 3 years until the sister was diagnosed with cancer. By then the anger seemed so small, so pointless. But those years, they were gone. This is why the Buddha was so urgent about this teaching. Not to scare us, but to wake us up. Because every day you spend controlled by anger is a day you can't get back. And you don't know how many days you have left. Patience, the Buddhist antidote. If mindfulness is the practice of seeing anger clearly, patience is the practice of not reacting to it. Buddhism considers patience one of the highest virtues, what's called a perfection. Not patience in the grin and bear it sense, but patience as a kind of spiritual strength. Shantideva wrote extensively about patience. He said it's the ultimate armor against suffering. Think about that. Not suppression, not avoidance, armor. Protection. When someone wrongs you, when life disappoints you, patience doesn't make you weak, it makes you unshakable. But how do we cultivate it? The Buddha's approach is beautifully practical. He suggested we start by understanding that everyone is acting from their own suffering. The person who cuts you off in traffic, they might be rushing to the hospital. The adult child who doesn't call, they might be overwhelmed with their own struggles. The neighbor whose dog won't stop barking, they might be dealing with losses you know nothing about. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about recognizing that people are complicated. Everyone is carrying burdens you can't see. And when we remember this, something in us softens. The anger doesn't have quite the same grip. Shantideva offered a striking image. Angrier offered a striking image. He said, if someone hits you with a stick, you don't get angry at the stick. The stick is just an object being wielded by a person. But then he takes it further. The person wielding the stick is also being wielded by their anger, their conditioning, their pain. They're as much a victim of their emotions as you are of the stick. Now, some people misunderstand this teaching. They think it means we should be passive, that we should let people harm us without consequence. But that's not what patience means in Buddhism. Patience means we don't let anger control our response. We can still set boundaries. We can still protect ourselves. We can still speak truth to power. But we do it from a place of clarity, not rage. A retired teacher named Margaret, 71, had been caring for her elderly mother who had dementia. Her mother would sometimes say cruel things, accusations that cut deep. At first, Margaret would argue back, trying to make her mother understand, but the arguments only made everything worse. Then she learned about patience. She began to see that her mother wasn't really there in those moments. The disease was speaking, not her mother. So when the cruel words came, Margaret would breathe. This is the disease. This is not my mother. She'd respond gently, or sometimes not at all. The situation didn't become easy, but it became bearable. The anger no longer consumed her. Let me give you another example of how this works in daily life. Picture yourself at the pharmacy, waiting to pick up your medications. You've been standing in line for 20 minutes. Your back aches. You're tired. Finally, you're next. But just as you step forward, an elderly man with a cane cuts right in front of you. He doesn't even seem to notice you're there. The pharmacist starts helping him. Your first impulse, anger. I've been waiting. This is unfair. I was here first. But then you remember the teaching. You pause. You look at the man more carefully. His hands are shaking. He's confused, asking the pharmacist the same question twice. He's not cutting in line to be rude. He's struggling. Maybe he's in pain. Maybe he's frightened about his health. Maybe he doesn't even realize there's a line. And in that moment of seeing him clearly, instead of through the lens of your own frustration, something softens. You can choose patience, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to see beyond your immediate irritation to the larger truth. Everyone here is struggling with something. The anger doesn't serve you. Patience does. The Buddha taught that there are 3 types of patience. Patience with suffering, patience in contemplating the teachings, and patience toward those who harm us. All 3 require practice. None of them come naturally, but they can be developed, especially at this stage of life, when you've already endured so much. You've survived losses and disappointments. You've weathered storms. That resilience, that's the foundation of patience. Let's look at how these three types of patience work in daily life. The first, patience with suffering, means accepting that discomfort is part of being human. Your knee aches when you climb stairs. Your hearing isn't what it used to be. These aren't punishments or failures. They're simply the body changing, as all bodies do. When you stop fighting these changes with anger, when you meet them with patient acceptance, the suffering lessens, not because the pain disappears, but because you're no longer adding resistance to it. The second type, patience in contemplating the Dharma, is about giving yourself time to understand these teachings deeply. You don't need to grasp everything at once. Buddhism isn't a race to enlightenment. It's a gentle unfolding, a gradual seeing more clearly. When a teaching doesn't make sense right away, you practice patience with yourself. You trust that understanding will come when you're ready. And the third, patience toward those who harm us, is perhaps the most challenging and most transformative. This is where the teaching really tests us. Shantideva suggested a powerful exercise when someone treats you badly. Instead of immediately responding with anger, ask yourself, what would it be like if I were them? What pressures might they be under? What pain might be driving their behavior? This doesn't excuse harm, but it creates space for understanding. And in that space, anger loses some of its power. There's also a practice called the patience advantage. Shantideva pointed out that someone who is patient gains everything while giving up nothing. The angry person damages their own peace, their own health, their own relationships. But the patient person, they maintain their dignity, they keep their clarity, they stay connected to their values even when others lose theirs. Who, Shantideva asked, is really the victor here? Loving kindness, the surprising practice. Now we come to what might be the most counterintuitive Buddhist practice for anger. Deliberately cultivating kindness toward the person who's upset you. This practice is called metta, loving kindness. And before you dismiss it as impossible or naive, let me explain how it actually works. Metta is not about pretending you're not hurt. It's not about letting people walk all over you. It's about recognizing that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. The Buddha understood that anger harms the angry person more than anyone else. So metta is, in a very practical sense, self-care. The practice is simple. You sit quietly and bring to mind someone you love easily, perhaps a grandchild or a dear friend. You silently wish them well. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you be happy. You feel that warmth, that genuine care. Then, gradually, you expand it. You think of a neutral person, someone you don't know well, the postal worker, a neighbor you wave to. You wish them the same things. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you be happy. And then when you're ready, you bring to mind someone difficult, someone you're angry with. Not necessarily the worst person in your life, just someone who irritates you, and you try, just try, to extend the same wish. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. At first, it might feel fake. You might not mean it. That's fine. You're training the heart, and training takes time. What's remarkable is what research has found about this practice. Studies show that even brief loving kindness meditation can reduce anger and increase compassion, not just toward others but toward yourself. It rewires the brain's response to perceived threats. Instead of immediately moving to defensiveness or attack, the mind begins to soften, to create space for understanding. An older man named James, 77, was estranged from his brother over a decades-old financial dispute. The bitterness had calcified over the years. When James learned about metta practice, he was skeptical, but he tried it. Each morning he'd sit for 5 minutes and wish his brother well. At first, the words felt hollow, but after a few weeks, something unexpected happened. He thought about calling his brother, not to fight, not even to reconcile necessarily, just to check in. The call was awkward, brief, but it opened something. They didn't become close again, but James no longer carried that particular poison in his heart. This is what metta offers: the possibility of freedom, not freedom from the situation, but freedom from the suffering the situation creates inside you. And that freedom is what the Buddha promised. Not that life would become perfect, but that you could be at peace regardless of circumstances. The body keeps the score. There's something else Buddhism understood long before modern medicine confirmed it. Anger lives in the body. It's not just a mental state. When anger rises, your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure spikes, stress hormones flood your system. For older adults, this physiological response can be particularly dangerous, increasing the risk of heart problems, stroke, and other health complications. The Buddha taught body awareness as one of the foundations of mindfulness. He encouraged his students to notice the physical sensations of their emotions. Where do you feel anger in your body? Tightness in the shoulders? Heat in the face, a clenched stomach? When you bring awareness to these sensations without trying to change them, something interesting happens. The sensations begin to shift on their own. The tightness loosens. The heat dissipates. This isn't magic, it's biology. When you observe a physical sensation with calm awareness instead of resistance, you're actually changing your nervous system's response. You're moving from fight or flight into a more balanced state. The body relaxes because it feels safe to relax. One simple practice: when you feel anger rising, place your hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your palm. Take 3 slow breaths, focusing on the rise and fall of your chest. This physical gesture sends a signal to your nervous system. You're safe. You can slow down. The anger doesn't need to escalate into action. Research on mindfulness-based interventions for older adults has shown that regular practice improves emotional regulation and reduces the physical toll of stress. Participants reported feeling less swept away by anger and more able to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. The Buddha also taught walking meditation as a way to work with difficult emotions through the body. When anger feels overwhelming, walk slowly, deliberately. Feel each step. Notice the contact between your foot and the ground. This simple act of moving mindfully through space can discharge the energy of anger without causing harm. You're not suppressing anything. You're allowing the emotion to move through you and out, like weather passing through a wide-open valley. I met an elderly woman named Doris, 82, who used this practice with remarkable effectiveness. She lived in a retirement community where conflicts were inevitable. Shared spaces, different habits, clashing personalities. When someone upset her, instead of immediately confronting them or stewing in her apartment, she would walk the building's hallways. 20 minutes of slow, mindful steps, feeling her feet on the carpet, noticing the weight shifting from heel to toe. By the time she finished, the worst of the anger had passed. She could see the situation more clearly. Often she realized the issue wasn't worth the energy she'd been giving it. Sometimes she still needed to address it, but she could do so calmly, effectively. The beauty of working with the body is that it's always available. You can't always control your thoughts. You can't always stop the initial flash of emotion, but you can always return to the breath. You can always feel your feet on the floor. These simple acts of embodied awareness are like anchors in a storm, keeping you grounded when everything else feels chaotic. There's another practice worth trying: the body scan for anger. When you notice you're upset, take a moment to scan through your body from head to toe. Where is the anger living? Jaw, shoulders, stomach, hands. Just notice, without trying to change anything. As you bring gentle awareness to these areas, You might notice them beginning to soften on their own. You're not forcing relaxation, you're simply offering the gift of attention, and the body, feeling seen, often responds by releasing some of its tension. This practice works because anger and stress create holding patterns in the muscles. When you consciously release that holding, even a little, the emotional charge often diminishes too. The mind and body are not separate, they inform each other constantly. By working skillfully with the body, you're also working with the mind, creating conditions for peace to emerge naturally. The moment everything changed. Let me tell you about Frank. He was 76, a widower, living alone after his wife of 52 years had passed. His daughter Emily visited every Thursday with his 2 grandsons, and every Thursday Frank found something to be angry about. The boys were too loud. They didn't respect his things. Emily was on her phone too much. He'd snap at them. They'd leave early. The pattern repeated week after week. One Thursday afternoon, it all came to a head. The older grandson, 14-year-old Michael, was bouncing a basketball in the living room despite Frank's clear rule about no balls in the house. Frank felt the familiar rage building. He opened his mouth to yell. The words were right there, sharp and ready. "How many times do I have to tell you? Get that ball outside." You never listen. But something made him pause. Maybe it was the meditation practice he'd been trying for 2 weeks. Maybe it was exhaustion from the endless cycle of anger and regret. Whatever it was, he stopped. He felt his breath. One inhale, one exhale. He noticed the tightness in his chest, the heat in his face. He saw the anger, really saw it, like he was watching himself from the outside. And in that tiny gap between impulse and action, something else arose. A memory of himself at 14, full of energy, testing boundaries, not meaning any harm. And underneath the anger, he felt what was really there: loneliness, fear that these boys would grow up and forget him, grief for his wife, who would have known exactly how to handle this moment with warmth instead of fury. Frank took another breath. Then he said, quietly, "Michael, the ball goes outside, buddy. House rules." His voice was calm, firm, but kind. Michael looked up, surprised. "Sorry, Grandpa," and he went outside. Emily stared at her father. "Dad, are you okay?" Frank nodded. "Yeah, I'm okay." And he was. For the first time in months, he didn't feel the familiar aftermath of rage. His heart wasn't pounding. His hands weren't shaking. He'd chosen differently. And in that choice, something shifted. The boys stayed longer that day. They talked. They laughed. And when they left, Frank didn't feel the usual hollow ache. He felt peaceful. That was the moment Frank understood what the Buddha had been teaching. The anger hadn't disappeared. It had arrived right on schedule, triggered by the same old situation. But he didn't have to follow it. He didn't have to let it drive the car. He could observe it, acknowledge it, and choose something else. Freedom wasn't the absence of anger. Freedom was the space to choose. Frank told me later, with tears in his eyes, "That one moment gave me my family back. I get it now. The anger was just protecting something underneath. My love for them, my fear of losing them. Once I saw that, I didn't need the anger anymore." This is the transformation the Dharma offers. Not someday, not after years of perfect practice. Right now, in the next moment, when anger arises, you can choose to see it clearly, to breathe through it, to respond from your deeper wisdom rather than your reactive pain. And that choice, made once, makes the next choice a little easier, and the next, until one day you realize you're free. The deeper freedom. All of these practices, mindfulness, understanding impermanence, patience, loving kindness, body awareness, point toward something larger. They point toward what Buddhism calls liberation. Freedom from being controlled by our emotions. Freedom from acting in ways that create more suffering for ourselves and others. This freedom doesn't mean you'll never feel anger again. The Buddha himself, according to the texts, felt anger occasionally, but he didn't become the anger. He didn't let it drive his actions or poison his heart. He saw it, acknowledged it, and let it pass. Like everything else that arises and fades in this impermanent world. At 60, 70, 80, you've lived long enough to see patterns in yourself. You know your triggers. You know how quickly you can go from calm to furious. But you also know something else. You've survived everything that's happened to you so far. Every disappointment, every loss, every moment you thought would break you. You're still here, still capable of growth, still able to choose a different response. The secret Buddhism offers isn't about eliminating anger entirely. It's about eliminating your slavery to it. It's about standing in the midst of provocation and finding within yourself a deeper stability, a calm that doesn't depend on everyone behaving the way you want them to. That calm is your birthright. It's been there all along, underneath the noise of a busy life. And now, in these quieter years, you have the opportunity to discover it. A Buddhist teacher I studied with once said, "Anger is like a house guest who's overstayed their welcome. You can't forcibly evict them. That just creates more drama. But you can stop serving them dinner. You can stop making their bed. You can let them know, politely but firmly, that it's time to go." This is what practice does. It stops feeding the anger. It stops making it comfortable, and eventually it leaves. What remains when anger departs? Spaciousness, peace, the ability to respond to life's difficulties with wisdom rather than reactivity, the capacity to love, even in the midst of frustration. This is the promise of the Dharma, the Buddha's teaching for everyday life. Beginning again, right now. You don't need to become a Buddhist to benefit from these teachings. You don't need to sit in perfect meditation for hours or master ancient texts. You simply need to begin paying attention. Notice when anger arises. Notice what it feels like in your body. Notice the thoughts that accompany it. And instead of automatically acting on those thoughts, pause, breathe. Let it be there without adding fuel to the fire. Perhaps today, all you do is notice anger once without immediately reacting. That's enough. Perhaps tomorrow you take one conscious breath before you speak when you're upset. That's enough. Perhaps the next day, you silently wish someone well who's been difficult. That's enough, too. The Buddha taught that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You don't have to transform completely in one day, but each small choice to see clearly, to pause, to respond with patience rather than rage, each of those choices is a step toward freedom. And at this stage of your life, freedom is what you deserve. Freedom from carrying burdens that no longer serve you. Freedom from being controlled by the storms of emotion. Freedom to meet each day with a quiet heart. The secret isn't complicated. It isn't hidden in obscure teachings or available only to those with years of training. The secret is this: anger is not your enemy. Ignorance is. When you see anger clearly, understand its causes, and choose not to be controlled by it, you've already found what the Buddha was pointing toward all along. You've found the peace that was always there, waiting beneath the surface, patient as the earth itself. And that peace? It's been yours all along. You're just remembering how to access it. You're just learning, gently and in your own time, that there's another way to live these precious years, not fighting against the world, not burning with resentment, but resting in the deep knowledge that you can be touched by life's difficulties without being destroyed by them. This is the gift of Buddhist wisdom on anger. Not that life will become easier, but that you will become freer. And freedom, in the end, is all that really matters. If something in these words touched you, if you recognized yourself in any of these struggles, or felt even a small opening toward a different way of being, then the Dharma has already begun its work in your heart. The practices are simple, but their effects can be profound. You don't have to carry anger like a second skin anymore. You can choose, moment by moment, breath by breath, to lay it down. I'd love to hear about your experience with anger and what practices have helped you find peace. Share your reflections in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, consider subscribing to continue exploring Buddhist wisdom for these later chapters of life. Remember, each day is a new opportunity to begin again. Each breath is a chance to choose freedom over fury. May you find peace in the midst of provocation. May you discover the strength that patience brings, and may you know deeply that you are not alone on this path.